Okay, welcome back, and still trying to talk about what's going on, proper solutions, what do we do, how do we improve from where we are. We have St. Petersburg Jigo here with us. She is an author. She's also a petroleum industry professional. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Thank you, Chamberlain, for having me.
Well, you do have you have a book, service,
Yes,
The Way Out.
Yes.
You're talking about it has to do with security-related matters, religious insurgency,
Yes.
and this is a concern that the country has had for a while. I'm just wondering, when you say service the way out, what does that mean?
Now, Chamberlain, if you've gone through the book, okay, it was written from a Christian perspective, because in 2014 I became concerned, okay, that the people of my faith were under attack. Why were we under attack? It's only recently that we're having a variation, so attack of an ethnic variation. Okay, now there are rumors, but we have empirical evidence that those are not rumors. Okay, there is the Benue situation. Okay, there is the Eastern situation. Now there is the highway situation. Regardless that it is becoming ethnic neutral. You understand? So regardless of your ethnicity or of your religion, there is stuff going on the highway. Okay, and then from the petroleum perspective, our pipelines are also being vandalized. Okay, so there is a need for us to find solution, a holistic kind, one that is relatable. Okay, a more hands-on solution to tackle this thing. But then, Chamberlain, when you look at the average, or let me put it this way, you need to get into the mind of the terrorist. You need to get into the mind of the insurgent, okay, to understand the ideology that drives him. You understand? And the only way to combat, because you cannot combat an ideology with bombs and guns. Let us wake up. You're dealing with an ideology, okay? Even all over the world, experts, tacticians, military experts, experts in geopolitics, they've come to their wits' end. Macron last month openly confessed. He said, "Look, I have no might against these people." France is a world power. So what are we talking about here? And at my when I started my doctorate, a program, there was a paper, that I did on security. I picked on security, and I did mention this ideology. Now, the Tony Blair Institute, has a whole lot of resources on the mind of the terrorists. And I began to research and research and research. And what he said there tallied with what I had written, even without knowing that, that had been there. But of course, I had to defer to that authority. So we need to get into the mind of the insurgent. What is he thinking about? The other day, the head of the Fulani headsmen, came out, though he said it was the Northern Coalition and all of that, and made what I consider a statement that is a security threat. No arrests have been instituted. So we've got to organize or develop and also deploy, a complex solution in order to tackle this complex situation.
In your study, what recommendations or suggestions did you see about the role citizens can play to ensure that these things, they also make their own impact?
Yes, citizens need to be more decisive. We need to start holding our political leaders accountable. Okay. Now, the head of the political unit, or the head of government, is also the commander-in-chief of the armed forces. So he needs to throw more weight. He needs to start convincing people like me and you, people on the streets, okay, that he has the interest of this country at heart. He made a statement in 2015, and I think he also iterated on it, this year, that he does not belong to anybody, that he belongs to all. We need to start seeing that materialize. What they say is cheap. We need to start holding our leaders accountable, our legislators accountable. I consider what happened, the ministerial screening. Chamberlain, I consider it a charade.
Why?
I consider it an insult. Bow and go. What does that mean? I mean, it is insulting to the electorate. We put them there. We need them to say something that we could hold them accountable to. You understand? Just like what the previous guest said, that it's like a job interview. You've got to convince us again of your competence, so that when you're not performing, we can say, "Oh, but sir, honorable minister, you said this. You made us believe that you had, the competence to do this job. But hey, you don't. You need to get out. So we're also dealing with a very complacent society. We need to wake up.
But what do people need to do to wake up, given that, just as you have said,
yes,
the trust quotient seems depleted?
Yes, it is. There's a trust gap.
Yes. So
yes.
What can the people do then?
What the people need to do, okay, is to show that they are interested by holding their representatives accountable.
How?
The only way to do it is to cry out for it. We have the media, okay? We could use the power of the media, okay, to cry out for it. You name your rep and call him to order. We need this thing to stop. You need to talk to your colleagues, okay? We need to start talking. The people need to start talking to action groups, okay? Something has to be done. If you look at how things get changed, outside Nigeria, within the developed worlds, okay, people agitate, okay, but then peacefully, right? They have, we've had 2 million, 3 million man march, but guess what? By observation and investigation as well, they are marching against leaders that are sufficiently responsible, okay? Yes, so now within the Nigerian context, when you march, there is the average fear there. Now, I heard a man say that there is a plan to march on the 5th of August and calling everybody to come out. Meanwhile, he's not in Nigeria. He's calling everybody to come out. He's outside Nigeria, so he is safe. When everybody comes out, who guarantees their safety? So people are also afraid. Yes.
Well, if I look at this again, you say God's answer to a woman's question on religious insurgency.
Yes.
First of all, how did you determine it was a religious insurgency? What question did you ask God, and the answer he gave you? Okay,
now, I asked like it could have been God's answer to religious insurgency. Anybody could have asked that question, okay? Now, I went on a fact-finding prayer, time with God, okay? And I said, Lord, that Boko Haram, this young man, Boko Haram, let's just, encapsulate him. This young man, Boko Haram, is harassing us, killing pastors, burning down churches. That was when the religious element of it was well concentrated, 2014, okay? I said, so what is going on? Or is it that you have decided to just kill everybody, okay? And then from a Christian perspective, I had, an experience where I saw that he said to me, service the way out. And I began to investigate. I do not run my life based on dreams. I'm not even a dreamer. Okay, but I saw this thing, in the night vision, and I began to investigate, using the Tony Blair Institute, using the Bible, of course, okay, the media, and books as well, researching libraries, both online resources and, terrestrial resources as well. And I found out within the Christian perspective, okay, that there is an ideology within the Christian perspective. Now, if you look at the book, you will see two soldiers, okay, one representing the free world, okay, the coalition army, and the other one representing the extremist Islamic jihadi movement, okay. But then if you go into the book, you will find out that the soldier representing the coalition army and the other one representing the Islamic extremism, they are both in the church. So there is within the Christian sect, okay, a redefined version of Christianity that is eating into the fabric or eating to tear down the future of our faith. We are our worst enemy. The pulpit is a powerfully persuasive platform. And whatever you say there, is so powerfully persuasive that it can turn a man who had sworn that I could never do this thing, to begin to imbibe it, to welcome it, to salivate to do those things, okay? So the book is a call to those who bring the word of God to people. Like they say that religion is the opium of the masses. You've got to be careful what you say to people, because you could subvert, damage, ruin their souls. You tell them something and they just get up and go. You tell them not to live unaccountably, and it's not going to work. It doesn't work with God, it does not work with man. It does not work in any responsible situation.
Now, speaking of being careful of what you say,
yes,
religion is a very interesting issue in Nigeria.
Yes,
touchy, if I may say. When you bring up religion, people begin to get careful. Don't harm this side. don't say too much.
Yes.
And you have said it. I mean, in that your book, you say people have said they are in court on a mission for God.
For God,
and,
yes.
and they use that to perpetrate some of these evils. But then we cannot rule out the fact that you still need to work with these religions, come together and try to form a way out. So the question is, how do we, marry these differences such that it will not be something that divides us, but something that sort of unites us?
Okay, good. Now, like I did say, right, you're dealing with an ideology. Now, within the Islamic sect, okay, is this also this crazy group who believe that God has sent them? It is an ideology. The research is out there. So what do? You do not solve that by being politically correct. Oh, maybe they have a point. No, the point they have is that God sent them to kill you. If you do not believe, they're even killing the people of the same faith as they are because they do not believe. My Megad is from Maiduguri. He told me that they've left Maiduguri for Bauchi. I said, what? Are they not your brothers? He said, ma, if you don't join them, they will kill you. Do you understand? So you can't be politically correct about this thing. You can't even afford not to be spiritual about it because it is a spiritual ideology or it's an ideology with a spiritual connotation. Okay? So for you to match that person, you've got to come to his level. What is he saying? Now, I do not know if you saw on social media the young Igbo family that came from Germany. It took the German government to rescue them. Yes. He said that the man said to him that only God can rescue you from our hands. So that is the way they are thinking. And dying is to them what living is to you and I. You've got to understand them. So they are trained to die for this, what they believe, their cause. So now coming to, to reality, not that what I'm saying is not reality. Okay, coming from the spiritual to the material, we need to have a government that is more decisive. We need to have a government, and the people need to hold them accountable. We need to call, the IGP, okay, to order. We need to start asking our reps to call them to order. But then how can you reason with I think this is the 8th or the 9th house, okay, who are telling people just bow and proceed? Personally, I am concerned.
Well, in other words, I mean, dealing with terrorism, you just highlighted, look, it has to be a multifaceted approach.
It has to be very complex.
One of the key one has got to be the ideology.
The ideology, yes.
So do you think that, is it going to be a challenge infusing this in the military, or they could have maybe the office of the NSA, the DSS, they could always find a way to work on this and infuse, send people in to go in there and see how they could alter the ideology? I think I read somewhere in Cameroon that strategy works. So that's something that can work here. I
agree absolutely with you because you match is deep calling onto deep. You match ideology with superior ideology. So we need to start re-indoctrinating the soldiers. We need to start re-indoctrinating them, reintroducing a better way of thinking, reintroducing a better mindset that will suit humanity. Presently, the mindset does not suit humanity. So I agree with you absolutely, and that is what the book prefers. But from within, the Christian perspective, because we are also, we are contributory. Growing up, my father said to me that, I want you to know, he said, oh, Inky, point, and I pointed. He said, how many fingers are pointing away and how many are pointing back at you? I said, 1 point pointing away and then 4 pointing back at me. He said, anytime that you're in a mess, the first thing you do, what is my contributory factor? He said, 80% of the time, you brought it on yourself. I was like, wow. And that began to frame, my mindset. So it's like, oh, blame everybody else but you. First of all, look inward. How did I get here?
Sir, when you say that the mindset of soldiers need to change, I think you said that earlier.
Yes.
The mindset, I believe you're talking about Nigerian soldiers.
Yes,
okay,
within
now,
context.
The mindset should be, protecting the territorial integrity of the country. So is there anything wrong with that? I'm just trying to wonder, how do you mean that should change?
Okay, now, their body language to what is going on, does it look like they have that mindset? In my opinion, the answer is absolutely no. So they need to be taught what they are soldiers to do. Now, Wall Street Journal has, brought out this thing that they discovered a secret grave. Okay, now from the defense headquarters, they said, oh, there are no secret graves. Now they did not refute that 1,000 soldiers have been buried, but okay, there are no secret graves.
Well,
do you understand?
Well, the DHQ, I think they put up a statement and said there's no such thing.
No, they said no secret grave. You understand? So they did, because you've got to be specific. Oh, there is no record. We do not have in our records that 1,000 soldiers died. We do not have in our records that there are any secret graves. Do you understand? But he just said, oh, there are no secret graves. You leave very little to the imagination. So what about the rest of the statements that were made? So to answer you directly, their body language shows that they do not know what they're doing. They are here to protect life and property at their own risk, because that is what they vowed to. With their own life.
No, sorry, Chamberlain. Service, the way out.
Yes.
What kind of service?
Good. Thank you. Now that brings us back to the church. Okay. Now from within the Christian perspective, somebody said to me, I think I was at Niger Info. She said, oh, but what about the Muslims? I do not know anything about Islamic faith. Okay. I'm a lawyer, so when I talk or speak or write, it's from a position of authority. I must have empirical evidence, and one that I agree with. Okay. Now God has said in 2 Chronicles 7:14, if my people. Now don't be mistaken which is people, the ones that are called by his name. You know that within the Christian sect, they will say, we are the real deal. Okay, God said, okay, you real deal. If you will repent, if you will turn, let's cut through the chase. If you will turn from your wicked ways, that was the last thing he said. Because the first thing he said was, humble yourself. There's too much pride in the church. Okay, too much competition. My church is bigger than yours. I have more followers than you. Okay, now there is too much irresponsibility in the church. I'm a member of the church. Okay, now so if you humble yourself, if you pray, if you seek my face, then you turn from your wicked ways. There is wickedness, and one wickedness I found in the church is hate for our enemy. Christianity is not by force. The leader of Christianity said, love your enemies. Okay, straight up. He said, don't follow me except you sit down, count the cost. You don't have to be a Christian. You do not have to be a follower of Jesus Christ. Cursing I don't want to call them Fulani headsmen, because there are good Fulani headsmen out there. So cursing killer squad headsmen is not going to get rid of the headsmen. These are not the kind of people that you get rid of by cursing them. They're not the kind of people that you get rid of by praying. They're the kind of people that you get rid of by repositioning yourself.
Essentially, you are talking about a superior ideology.
A superior ideology which has always been in the church. Now, what if you go through the book, one of the major ideologies that opened these floodgates of hell, this attack, this abysmal attack, or an attack that is at an abysmal scale, one of those ideologies is this once saved, always saved ideology. That, okay, just become born again. It doesn't matter if you were beheading somebody. Don't worry, God does not. I heard someone say to my makeup artist, she said, because her friend kept saying, oh, you say you're a Christian, but you keep doing all these things. Your old character is still intact. The girl said it 3 times. And I said, what's going on here? And the makeup artist said, yes, now, no matter what I'm doing, when God looks at me, he sees Jesus. I said, what? Who told you that? She said, my pastor. I said, who is your pastor? I said, anyway, forget about your pastor. I now stopped the makeup session, and I began to tutor her. Okay? Someone also very close to me professionally, she also was of that opinion that her pastor said, oh, if you're in Christ, don't worry about your sin. It doesn't matter. What? So that is what is being vanities are being vomited from our pulpits today. Do you understand? So we've got to either preach what Christ has preached, or we just shut up.
So are you saying if we get it right from that, it sorts it out eventually? Or aren't there other areas we need to look at too?
Of course, which we've been talking about, but because he asked me a direct question, service the way out within the context of the book and within the church context, so that's just the playing ground that I've answered this question. Of course, there are other areas, we have mentioned them, okay? So we need, also within, like I said, that we need to hold our political leaders accountable. We also need to hold our church leaders accountable.
Okay, we'll see how we can explore that a little further when we come back in a moment.
Okay, Charlie.
Stay with us.
Thank you.
All right, welcome back. Now, I'm just wondering because with respect to getting this right,
yes,
the government is government. They have to do what they have to do.
Yes.
Religious bodies now, they will always have to do what they have to do. But how do they, in taking responsibility, living out the way they're supposed to be, but above all, if I could use the word, supporting governments or playing their role in government, because there are clear directives of what Christians have to do with government.
Yes.
Without other people necessarily misunderstanding that responsibility that they have towards the government. How do we strike a balance?
Okay, now a clear-cut example that comes to mind is Reverend Kuka. When Reverend Kuka is addressing government, you cannot tell that he's a member, you cannot tell that he's a priest. I look at Reverend Kuka as a priest, you know, in the political sector. When he talks, I listen. So you don't have to go with religion in hand to government. Now, where does this start from? Our pastors expect us. They tell us we've got to hold the government accountable. Okay, you're the head of government within the church. So we also need to hold you accountable. We need many Reverend Cookers in our midst. So our church leaders need to organize themselves as a responsible body, not necessarily going as CAN, going as PFN, but going as citizens, because that is what they are. To go and tell them, you know, on the platform of citizens' rights. We are here to talk to you, not as pastors. Because before we became pastors, you know, I was once Mr. Enoch Adeboye. I was once Mr. David Oyedepo, for instance. Do you understand? And I am a Nigerian. So I've come here to tell you that XYZ has got to change. Okay? Now, you don't have to be aggressive. So you can be firm without being aggressive, okay? And there is also need for us to have a follow-up process and insist on that process, because we can't just stop. Talk is cheap. Like now, I want to put a challenge to channels. We have come here, we're discussing this. I'm appealing to the chairman of channel to put a follow-up team, a follow-up process in place. Okay, so now I am also here as a citizen, and I'm appealing to the president. Sir, you need to be, where's my camera? You need to, do I have a camera?
Just talk to us.
Your Excellency, sir, you need to be more decisive. You need to bridge the trust gap. Let me tell you, sir, Nigerians no longer trust you. Your body language is worrisome. People from different parts of the country sort of commended, you know, your aggressive attack on iPod. Now, from investigation, we didn't have, you know, like maybe they were armed, but there is a man who has come and made a statement that is considered a security threat. You have not instituted any arrest.
Well, you know, the thing about that, I don't want you to say Nigerians no longer trust you. You know, you have...
Okay, no, yes, the blanket... Okay, many Nigerians... Okay,
who will always say, no, we do.
No,
some will say we do. So
yes.
It's always...
I respect you.
You know, there are always two sides to this
Oh,
point.
yes. Many Nigerians, okay. So please, sir, okay, I respect you. My Bible says that I must respect you. I must pray for you. But please, sir, we are Nigerians. We are your children. Do something. Protect this nation.
We have to go. That part where you were saying you were appealing to the chairman of channels. I thought you were going to say he should send them to Maiduguri.
No.
Talk about the event, but I thought, all right.
Maybe by the time you come back, you'll be alone.
Well, thank you very much indeed for coming on St. Petersburg, Jigo.
Thank you very much.
Coming on. Well, that's the show today. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you next week. I'm Chamberlain Uso.
I'm Kayode Kikere.
And I'm Ayomakinde. Have a wonderful weekend.
The views and opinions expressed by guests on this program are those of the maker and do not reflect the views, opinions, and endorsement of Channels Television.